Furahide is back with us again. How are you doing? Welcome to Lifestyle Friday on Jam 316. Every Friday we bring you different topics concerning life and how we live life, people's testimonies, people's stories of triumph, wonderful things that are happening in the lives of people. And so thank you so much for joining us this Friday morning. Today, later on in the show, we'll get to hang out with Peterson. Peterson is a gospel artist. We'll get to hear his testimony and just find out what he's been up to and how his journey has been. That, my friend, is one story that I know will inspire you and get you going even as we gear up for the weekend. Prayer, prayer, prayer. Talking about prayer and lifestyle, you should have a lifestyle of prayer. I should have a lifestyle of prayer. You know, when I was just thinking about that song, I was reminded of the disciples going to Jesus and asking Jesus, Lord, teach us how to pray. To think that of everything they saw Jesus do, the one thing they asked Jesus to teach them was to pray. Teach us how to pray. And I love how Jesus then goes on to tell them about prayer. And he says, when you pray, pray in this manner, our Father, in plural, not my Father, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us our daily bread. Forgive us as we forgive others. It's all about community. It's all about a body. And that's why I love that song. When I pray for you, because we ought to pray for one another. Don't be selfish in your prayers. Develop a lifestyle of always praying for others. Let others know that they can count on you to pray for them, because we all go through seasons when we are down and out and we need somebody to pray for us. The other day, I was asking on my Facebook page, who is that one person, your go-to person? When you're down and out and you need somebody to stand in the gap for you, who is that one person you can call on to pray for you, and you know they will pray? And very sad, quite a number of people said, I really have no one. And sometimes people who are at the forefront, you know, especially in the churches, the pastors, the leaders, because everybody comes to you for prayer, sometimes you have no one to pray for you. Let's learn to pray for one another. Like I shared before, we'll be hanging out with Peterson later on in the show, but there's something we introduced last week on Lifestyle Friday, a segment with Professor Ndete, Food for Thought. Why? Because mental health is something that a lot of people are ignoring, and a lot of people are suffering from mental health issues. And some of these issues, because we don't understand them, then we begin to stigmatize people who are going through them or trivialize, you know, the situations that they are facing. Hence, food for thought to equip us and to allow us, you know, to gain an understanding and knowledge into mental health issues. So here's today's Food for Thought.
Food for Thought with Professor David Ndete.
It is said that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Meaning the mind is a very powerful thing that we have been given. Welcome to Food for Thought with Professor Ndete. Today we want to tackle the whole issue of depression. Professor, how are you doing?
I'm very good.
I want us to talk about depression. Maybe you can explain to us what depression is.
Well, depression is a condition where a person feels very sad, very unhappy, but that feeling is far beyond what will be expected of other average people, or even for that person is beyond what can be expected, even though he's going through difficult situations. For example, somebody may be bereaved, they have lost somebody, and we all know we go through normal bereavement, and the people get depressed. But the others who will be going through bereavement, but their sense of loss, their sense of unhappiness is far beyond what would be expected of normal people.
Okay.
So it's relative in terms of the individual reaction to that particular condition. But then, having said that, I think it's important for the viewers to know that depression is a very important condition. It is a medical condition. And if you talk about medical conditions that cause the greatest burden to the people, to the person, to the families, depression comes right very close to the top. In some countries, is number 2 in the list of medical conditions that cause a lot of pain to humanity.
Okay.
So it's a very important topic.
Okay. I love the fact that you said it's a medical condition because sometimes coming from this part of the world, sometimes we have a lot of superstitious beliefs, and sometimes you hear issues, oh, you alirogwa, somebody looked at them badly. Are these issues you also deal with when you're helping people who are in a state of depression?
We have to do that almost on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. And even if the person who is sitting on the other side of the table or is consulting you, I think is important to raise that important question that you are raising, mm-hmm. even though the patient themselves may not raise that question or the relatives may not raise that question. And there's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. It's a perfectly normal way of explaining things. You cannot expect a person who is suffering from depression and they are not suffering from a physical condition, mm-hmm. and they do not know what is happening. It is perfectly normal for human beings to find an explanation for what they are going through. We in the medical profession, we will understand that this is a medical condition. But you do not expect everybody else to understand that. It depends on the culture and the context where they come from. If it's somebody who has always depended on traditional way of explaining things, then that traditional way of explaining things is that this is an external problem. Mm-hmm. Maybe I've been bewitched. Or if they are taking a spiritual approach, they may say this is because of the devil or something like that. Yeah. Or maybe if they want to be more spiritual, is punishment from God. Mm. And we find this even in the Bible. When people went to Jesus and asked him, what is the explanation for this? Is it because of the sins of their ancestors? Mm-hmm. Or is it something similar to something? They always tend to explain away things. Okay. So you don't blame them. You listen to them, but also at the same time, try to tell them there is also another explanatory model. And why don't we talk about that? And let me tell you, they are more often than not, they are delighted to understand that there is another way of explaining this without challenging their beliefs.
Yes. Okay. I'm just wondering, is it possible for somebody to be sinking into depression and yet they have no idea what is happening to them?
It's very common here. In fact, many people, when they come to see doctor, when they go to see doctors, mm-hmm. And they have depression, you know what they tell them? Yes. Doctor, I've been suffering from malaria for a long, long, long time. And if they go to a doctor who is very busy or who doesn't quite understand this way of explanation, they may just say, oh, you've been suffering from malaria. Then they send them for a blood test. Mm-hmm. Or these people would have self-medicated themselves using antimalarials. Yeah. Because that is the way they understand what they are going through. So malaria, another disease that seems to be amoeba is also a very common condition. In fact, there's a study that was done, mm-hmm. and it was shown that many people who are taking treatment for malaria, either prescribing it themselves or being prescribed by doctors, wow. A significant majority of those people were depressed. What? And they did not know. It is that common. Mm-hmm. Yes. So yes, it is very possible for people to be depressed and they don't know that they are depressed. And the other thing, which is very important in this cultural context, mm-hmm. when people here are depressed, they tend to present with the physical symptoms. Uh-huh. It can be headaches, can be chest pain, can be stomach pain. And when they go, say, to see a cardiologist, because their heart is beating fast, then they get subjected to all these kind of investigations. And at the end of the day, a very highly specialized doctor who was following a very narrow path will tell them, I have done all these investigations. I do not find anything mm-hmm. in you. You know what they are telling them? Yeah. There is another cause. Go back to the roots and find out what is happening. Mm. So more often than not, is we doctors and we professionals, if we don't appreciate this condition, we get fixed on the physical aspect without understanding the psychological aspect. And we do all these investigations, and they can be extremely expensive. And we are dealing with the depression. So when they are completely exhausted financially and you cannot do any more investigation, that's when you send them either to a psychiatrist or you tell them, my friend, go and find out what is happening. Go back to the.
Wow.
You see what we are doing. So more often than not, we are the ones who push them that direction.
Okay. I'm just wondering, does depression affect only adults or does it affect children as well? And if it does affect both adults and children, does it manifest differently?
I want you to listen to this. It will surprise you. It can affect children when they are in the stomach before they are born.
What?
You heard me properly.
How?
And I'll tell you, there's tremendous amount of research that suggests that if a mother is depressed, and this is very important, very critical, if a mother is depressed, there are some chemical changes that occur in the body of a mother who is pregnant. And if they happen to be depressed, some of those hormones cross the placenta and go to the body of the child, to the system, and it can affect the development of that child in a very adverse way in the long run.
Wow.
And we say this because it's very important. I think maybe very more important than actually I'm able to express. If a mother is depressed, or if you are in a relationship where the mother is pregnant and you start battering them, I want you to know you are not just battering that wife or that woman, you are battering a child in the stomach, in the womb.
Wow.
So it's very important that we all understand that whatever happens to the mother, these are chemical changes, some of them will cross the placenta. Having said that, we begin from the beginning.
Yes.
That is very early during pregnancy. Yes, children will get depressed and they present with certain conditions, with certain behavioral changes. Maybe their performance school goes down, they start behaving in a delinquent manner, they start being irritable, they seem to be disobedient, and what we do, this child is behaving in a very abnormal manner, this child is a bad child, and what we do, we use a stick, and we start beating them, to discipline them. Most of these behavioral changes that you see in children, more often than not, they are as a result of emotional problems, and the depression is one of them.
Wow.
So it affects all age groups.
Okay.
Including people in adults, going all the way to the end of life.
Okay.
It is that abusive.
Wonderful. Indeed, information and knowledge is power. The Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. Even as we continue to gain more understanding from the professor about depression, I want to encourage you, if you are going through depression, find help. Don't lock yourself in the room. Don't just disappear from the world. Talk to somebody, find help, because help is available. We'll pick up this conversation on the next episode of Food for Thought. That's Food for Thought for today. Now, as promised earlier, this morning I get the opportunity to hang out with Peterson. Peterson, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Pasi, how are you?
I'm very fine. It's good to have you on the show today. It's been a while since we connected.
It's been a while.
Yeah, naona uliomba asubuhi ukaambiwa uvae polo neck kama mimi. So what
you know,
yeah, tell me.
Birds of a feather flock together.
What
they wear leather.
What?
Like God.
So tell me, what have you been up to?
4 things. One is Karura Community Chapel.
Yes.
Doing some stuff there, leading a team of the worship team and doing services. Two is what I should have started with, family. You know, I have 2 kids, a wife.
Yeah.
3 is my music career, and 4 is just personal development. It's me trying to be a better man.
That's very good. You talked about your music career. Take us back. How did you get into music, and how far back is that?
Wow. I was the worship leader for my Sunday school.
Oh. Okay.
So that's how far back I go with music. We have a long relationship with music. And so I got into the main church, the worship team for the main church when I was 11 years old.
Wow.
I was the youngest then. And yet I had songs I could lead sometimes. So it's been...
uliokoka lini?
Nimeokoka mara 7 pasi.
It is a complete work now, eh?
It is a complete work.
Yes.
The last and final one happened when I was in Form 2.
Okay.
So my music went into a whole different level when I went into high school. You all know which high school? You all know Starehe Boys Center?
Yes.
Hapo tu mbele kuna shule inaitwa Isli High School. So that's...
You got me on that one. Yes.
And then when I went to campus, JQuat, that's when now my career blossomed, because I learned a lot just doing music at the CU. Got into backup. I started backing people up, backed Emmy Kosgei, backed many people. That's when a producer called Gitonga told me, why don't you have your own music? And we started the journey.
Wow. Okay. Is this what you always wanted to do, or did it just kind of grow on you?
Both my parents and I wanted that someday I'll get a real job.
Yes.
And a real job, you know what in Africa we define as a real job.
Yes.
You wake up, go to the bank or whatever. And I did. I went to the bank. But purpose is like fire in your bones.
Yeah.
It will not let you do anything else. It will disturb you until you get out of that distraction. And for me, the bank was a distraction. It was good because then my parents could say, mtoto wangu anafanya kazi bank.
Yeah.
It was prestigious. There was money. But then I didn't have peace. So I left and I got into the music industry.
Did anybody try,
or the music industry?
Did anybody
ministry,
try and talk you out of that decision? Because that's a huge decision to make, jumping from the known into the unknown. Kwanza ulikuwa na kazi ya bank. You sit next to the money. And now you want to pick a guitar and do something with it.
Can you imagine?
Did anybody try and discourage you or tell you you're crazy?
By then, I had a principle, and that principle is sometimes secrecy is the way to get things done. So I didn't tell even my folks. I didn't tell anyone. It's just my wife. I was newly married. It's just my wife. So we prayed about it. She could see that I am disturbed.
Yeah.
And so she told me, you know what? I support this decision. Just leave the bank. And I left.
Wow.
And remember then, Buzz wrote that Peterson has left the bank, and my mom saw it. So that's how she knew. She saw mad in the newspaper.
Akakupigia simu.
Akanipigia, akaniambia watu wa magazeti wako na tabia mbaya sana. Where do they get these stories?
Yes.
I told her, Mom, it's true.
Oh my goodness. How did that conversation proceed from there?
It wasn't interesting. I mean, James,
Yeah.
Pasi, in my family, I was the only one who went to campus. Only one. My graduation was a village affair.
Yes.
Yani, tulileta basi tatu.
Wow.
So for them to go through all that, and they struggled with me through campus, for them to go through all that, and then just to hear that I left the job, quote unquote, my education had given me.
Yeah.
It wasn't an interesting conversation. Yeah.
You know, I know there are quite a number of people who are stuck in a similar situation whereby
I know.
you have your 8 to 5 because you need to pay rent and do all these things. But if it was really up to you, this is not what you really feel you want to do. And what you want to do is not the conventional job per se.
I know.
Look at
I know.
jobs. You know, what would you tell somebody in that situation?
Percy, COVID has happened.
Yes.
COVID has happened. Jobs are lost. And people who had, quote unquote, what we call a closed mind.
Yeah.
Hao walikuwa wamefika. The corner office was making sense to them. There was no peace, but you know, at the end of the month, when they look at the paycheck, they are happy.
Yes.
It is temporary happiness. And look at some people now, they don't know where to start. And I know some lady who got fired and started cooking fish, Pasi, fish.
Wow.
Moja ni sonane.
Yeah.
Moja ni sonane. And it took some time, but now she's earning more than she used to earn behind a computer. My point is, take risk. Of course, you can't be, again, too negligent, but you can't be too careful. Yeah, take risks.
At one point, you have to jump out of the boat.
That's the thing. And once you jump out of, let's call it a fish pond.
Yes.
Once you jump out of a fish pond, you realize there's a whole sea out here.
Wow.
And who knows the mystery of possibility? Possibility is amazing. What you could become when there's that chance of becoming.
That is very true.
Is amazing.
I'm just curious, yeah. How long did it take for you to start earning some money from your music? From the time you left the job at the bank, approximately how long?
Now, for me, it worked the other way around. I left my job when Lingala ya Yesu was Lingala ya Yesu. You remember those days?
Yes. Yes.
There was money right, left, and center. And because I was not working with someone, no one told me, by the way, it's not going to be this rosy all the time, every day. And so there reached a time when, of course, the money for that's coming out of my music went really low. And those are the days I wished I never left the bank.
Oh my goodness.
And I don't want our listeners to get us wrong. There will be days like that. Yeah, when you feel, I'm a tuning, you know. And Pasi, let's twist this a bit. Ladies who have sponios, and they can't see their lives outside of that bondage.
Yeah.
Maybe this guy is paying school fees, paying rent, paying sijui what. Leave, and there'll be days when you'll feel, I'm a singetoka, but leave. God is faithful.
Very true.
God is faithful. God is faithful, and he was faithful for me. When I left, there are days when I couldn't even afford my rent. Oh my. And manze nafikiria, nikiwa bank, this was not a struggle.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like I told you, there's so much possibility in risk. And who knows the mystery of risk, of possibility. Today, we could be here talking. Tomorrow, we are something different.
Very true.
Yeah, possibility is amazing. So enter into that space of possibility.
Okay. You mentioned something about serving in church. We'll talk a bit about that later, because for me, that's very, very interesting. Sometimes I find that, gospel artists just do their thing, but they're not really connected to a church.
I know.
Yeah, for now... you have a new song.
Yes.
Give me a bit of background about this song.
Kijana Tatoboa. That's my autobiography.
Okay.
It talks about where I came from, how poor we were. We were living in a one-room house. In that song, there is a place where we took a photo, and my brother and I just had our feet in the photo. It's not that the guy who took the photo was unprofessional. It's just that alikuwa amesonga nyuma mpaka akafika mwisho.
Yes.
And the camera could not frame everybody. That's how small our house was. And I say that in that song. I say that, I got to campus. I got to vie for student leader. I led people who were from comfortable families.
Yeah.
And I wasn't from a comfortable family myself, but you know, God, the Holy Spirit of God gives you a godly confidence, not one of fear, but a confidence that, you know, greater is he who is in me than the one who is in the world. And you walk with that confidence and you win.
Yes. Wow.
So that song talks about that. It talks about, you know, Kijana Tatoboa. It's a motivational song.
Okay. We want to take some time and listen to that song, and then we'll come back and talk about your involvement in church and why you're strongly involved in your church. And also, we'll talk about the gospel music scene in the nation. You know, we have a lot of young artists that are coming up. What's the way forward for them? You're watching...
As you do that, Pasi.
Yeah.
As you do that, can I grab a quote so that we look the same?
Yeah. Yes, you can grab a quote so that we can look the same.
We took the same.
Oh my goodness. You're watching Lifestyle Friday on Family TV and listening to us on Family Radio 316. Joachim, how are you doing? You say, thank you for hosting Peterson. I've had as if I've had myself. That is so inspiring. Be blessed and say hi to him and his family. This one says, very interesting conversation there, Pastor, with Peterson. I'm at work and I have to buy data bundles to watch how how the two of you are matching on YouTube. Emmanuel from Denderu, yes, nunua bundles. You see, now we are matching. Oh my goodness. Naonekana sisi ndio tuliomba leo. Hao wengine sijui kama waliomba.
Tuko ndani ya roho.
Okay, church ministry.
Yes.
How long have you been involved in church ministry, and why are you heavily involved in church ministry?
I joined church ministry in 2014. And by then I was just a worship leader, part-time. I could report to work on Tuesday for the staff meeting, on Saturday for practice, and on Sunday for the service.
Yeah.
And then, of course, as the work grows, you're required to have even more involvement. And so the pastor asked me, my pastor is Reverend Gary Kareithi, who is the senior pastor of Karura Community Chapel.
Yes.
So he asked me, can you consider now to come on a full-time basis? So I went. I started. I was the music director.
Yes.
And then I grew from that. I was ordained as a pastor and became the services pastor. I don't like referring myself as a pastor, though.
Yeah.
So I refer to myself as services director. Yes, it's been an awesome journey.
Okay. You know, sometimes I feel like, you know, when people get into some of these positions, whether it's music or even the media with what I'm doing, and you become well known and you become sort of a celeb. You feel you're too big for some things. You don't want to be part of a particular church. You want to go all over the place. Even when you're invited to sing, you just appear, sing your stuff, and then disappear. You know, what do you think of people who operate that way?
Wow. Last year, Pasi, I asked myself a question. I asked myself, what is the value of being in church?
Yes.
Of working here. Si ningekaa tu kwa music industry nikirelease mangoma, maybe sahi ningekuwa, you know, ningekuwa bigger than I am. But God told me of a process. It's called the process of humility. You're big out there, but in church you have a boss.
Yes.
You have a Pasi. You have someone who can ask you what's going on in your life.
Yes.
Freedom corrupts, and absolute freedom corrupts absolutely. So when you have no one, in Swahili uko mtaani tunaita utiaji. When you have no little utiaji in your life, trust me, you're utapotea na utajua ukipotea. That's even the danger of that. So when you have someone who's telling you, give me a report of the last 6 months, what you've done.
Wow.
When you have someone who can give you a warning letter, when you have someone who can ask you, why did this go wrong? Why did this go wrong? Then you learn the process of humility. Na unajisurround na people who you are accountable to. The problem we are seeing now is artists who've gotten into the what we call the industry or ministry or whatever people want to call to call it.
Yeah.
I personally don't have a problem with the word industry because, it's what it is. So they get there and they become the captain of their own decision.
Yeah.
They don't want to be asked anything. They have so many followers on Twitter or on Facebook, more than their church or their passee. And they think they can make the ultimate decision. You can't. You need people. You need people.
Wow. You know, Peterson, for me, growing up, when I was growing up, teenager, young adult, we grew up with the Kasangas, we grew up with the Mariatienos, we grew up with the Munishis. And back in the day, gospel music really had no money. There was no money in gospel music. You know, we would sit down and watch Joy Bringers. We would sit down and watch Nyimbo za Choir, and basically that was it. But then things have changed. There's a huge chunk of money in gospel music. Do you think that's part of what is the problem? Because it seems like for a group of people, they get this colossal amount of money they've never handled in their life, and it derails them from what their real purpose was when they actually began singing for God.
Pasi, you're very right. And I have my own list of what I call the biggest distractions to purpose on earth. And money is one of them.
Okay.
Money is one of them. If I have time, I can share the other distractions. But money is one of the biggest distractions to purpose per se. And I know as you pastor people and as you serve, you can see it, that someone was called to be this, but because they are earning more money in this other area, they choose that one. Money is a distraction, and it is not bad to earn it, but then it shouldn't get to your head. And so in the music industry, it got to people's heads that I'm better because I'm earning more.
Wow.
I can mentor you, Pasi, because I am earning more than you. It became the measure of godly success.
Wow.
I know one artist who after mapasio amemwingilia alisema, if God is not happy with what I'm doing, why is he blessing me still?
Ooh.
Wrong philosophy.
That's deception.
Wrong philosophy.
Yes.
Yeah, it is deception. It is wrong. And so that people started feeling that if I have a song per se and it has 1.5 million viewers, and you have a song and it has 50,000 viewers, then mine is the way to go.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, sasa kitu iliharibu kabisa, awards.
Oh, the awards. Oh, yes. Talk to us about awards.
When awards checked in.
Yeah.
And this let me say this before I continue. This period of COVID is a good one because there is no event.
Yes.
There is no award. God is taking this time to now reshuffle the cabinet, so to speak.
Yes.
Without the members of the mass, what we call them, the mass, being manipulated into thinking this is the way, walk in it. So awards would award a certain type of music or a certain type of people.
Yeah.
And what would the masses think? That this is the way. Indio kitu inashika sahi, as we say it.
Yes.
And we lost a whole generation because of perception.
Oh my goodness, that's sad.
Awarding the wrong way. Yeah, Psalm 17 says what, Pasi? It says that the path, the enemy has paths. Akona paths zake. And you know why? How do you know if we all knew that's the enemy, we would not follow it?
Yeah.
But anazi rebrand. Kuna paths mingi ana rebrand. I'm trying to look for that exact verse. I'll share it later. But shetani akota pia njia zake amezi rebrand. Zinakaa kitu poa.
Yes.
But they are not. There is a way that seems right
to a man
in the eyes of men, but it leads to death.
Very true.
So it's time it's time wale ma artists wote our serve in church, go back to church. If gospel music cannot be used in church for God's work, it is not gospel music. Utasikia gospel artist akisema niweke ile kiki na chapa ndio ichape kwa club. Why? The day huyo mtu wa club atataka kitu inadunda, akona zile zinadunda. The day anataka kitu itamdraw to God, he should come to us.
Yes, very true.
Not us going to them.
Wow. Wow. Before we run out of time, I'm very curious to find out from you, what process do you go through as you write a song?
It's called TCR. You think, you create, then you record.
Okay.
And my company, is called Peterson Pen and Paper. I'm not alone. I work with people like Bire, who we will sit down on a song. Let's say you're a client, you've said, Peterson niandikia ngoma ya Thanksgiving, God has been good to me. Sijui nini. I'll tell my team, this is it. We are writing a song that says this. And we'll go through that process. TCR. You think of a concept. Mziki ni concept. And then you create that concept. There are formats you follow. You can start with the chorus, then the verse, then the pre-chorus, then the chorus. And then now you record. So most people per se go against TCR. They go to a producer and say, see, just think of anything. Uko na beat, nipatie tu beat. Anaekewa beat, and then they record. It is against, because you didn't think.
You didn't think it through.
You didn't think. You didn't think it through. So kuna kitu aina. Na ukikaa ufikirie concept, you process. Your mind, God has designed it to give you ideas. It will give you.
Looking at where you are and how far you've come, if you had to do it all over again, are there some things you could change?
A lot. I have had my share of mistakes. I would change a lot. Unataka nizitaje?
Tupatie hata kama ni kasampuli kamoja.
Looking back, I think I would produce songs that can be used in church earlier. Looking back, I would kuna vitu wakati Lingala Yesu ilitoka pasi, wacha niseme hivi. Kuna ka pride fulani kaliingia. And going back, I would change a lot. A lot. And artists make money, especially when you have a hit song. You're making money from all directions and in large amounts. And no one really tells you, by the way, next year, it could not be like this. You're like a makanga. Si leo nimepata, kesho ndapata, kesho nyingine ndapata, matatu ndio hii. Niko hapa, and you don't really save, you don't really have a financial strategy, and you get into debt. So those money management and valuing people and serving in church, those are the things I would change.
When you mentioned Lingala Yesu, I remember the first time I heard that song, nilikuwa kwa kinyozi. and the lady who was shaving me is actually a dancer. She's a dancer in that song. She's actually the one who told me, Pasi, umesikia song mpya ya Peterson? And I'm in that song dancing. That's the first time I heard.
Really?
Yes, that's the first time I heard that song. So my time is almost up, but one more thing. Family man, you have a wife, you have kids. What's your greatest joy as a husband and a father?
Oh man, yani just knowing that, kuna tumtu tunaniangalia is a joy. And to see, and many fathers miss this point, to see that child develop is everything. It is everything. To see them not being able to say any word, and then kesho wanasema daddy. And then kesho they know their names and they can walk. Seeing that process, and that's why I talked about the mystery of possibility. what a small child could become it is amazing. I had my father bring me up all through, and I want to revenge. I want to be there for my children.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the best gift I could ever give my father. Just being there for my children, showing, doing what he showed me, how he showed me it is done.
Wow. Would you say your wife has been your greatest support in this whole process?
What? I do not know how people without wives survive. Let me tell you.
Yes.
If you have a supportive wife, they become your support system. Let me tell you, Pasi, there was a time in my life, if I wasn't with that lady of God, she's called Carol.
Yeah.
I would have crashed.
Wow.
When pride got into my head, I had money, I had a hit song, I was doing well. She used to fast for me. She used to go to some prayer center in Kikuyu.
Yes.
And tell God, this man will not be lost. Manze mrudishe. And God called me again.
Wow. Wow.
Because of that mama's prayers.
Wow, that's wonderful.
A wife can give you direction.
That is so true. Peterson, I'm out of time. Parting shot as we wrap up.
Sadly, Manze. Sadly, Pasi. I wish we had the whole day.
What's your parting shot? My
parting shot is to encourage people, Pasi. Christians around the world are discouraged. They're thinking, where is God?
Yeah.
I want to say God is not mechanical. He's not a magician. You can't open the Bible and say whatever we pray in the name of Jesus will happen. And then we say, in the name of Jesus, catch fire. See? He's not mechanical. He responds on faith.
Yes.
And so manze wase wakuwe na faith na washikilie. I normally say this, Pasi, do not write off 2020.
Yeah.
Don't allow even those memes people are sending at this year I will not celebrate my birthday because I did not use it up. No, don't share those things.
Yes.
Declare with your mouth that 2020 is the year I will buy my new house, I'll buy my new car, I will get married, and my life will move on. Bless 2020, don't curse it.
Wow. Peterson, thank you so much for availing yourself.
Sir.
And you really encouraged us. Na hizo kala zinakapoa.
Umeraim.
I'm out of
Sasa
time.
Pasi.
Yes.
Now that not enough people have seen my coat and nini, wacha nitembee hivi town.
Maybe
they have to see.
Maybe we'll bump into each other.
You know.
I'm out of time for today. Thank you so much for being a part of Lifestyle Friday as we hang out with Peterson today.
For this and more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to enjoy a wide variety of programs from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.